Are you interested in owning America's greatest sports car, but maybe you're a little bit worried on how much this car will actually cost you to own and operate? It's really not as much as you think, and in this video I will show you how much this car has cost me over the last 5 years. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, my name is Dave. I own this 2004 C5 Corvette, so if you're into Corvette content, especially C5 content, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Now this video I'm going to break up into two different parts. First part is going to be how much this car has cost me just to own and operate so that I can have it on the street for the last 5 years. And then part two will be all the modifications I've done to this car to this point to get it to 386 horsepower at the wheel and a lot of the appearance upgrades that I have done. Now many of these numbers will be different depending on your particular area that you live in. Obviously insurance is going to be different for everybody, taxes is going to be different for everybody, registration, all those things will be different for everybody, but this is what it cost me for the first 5 years. So on day one when I purchased the vehicle, obviously I had to go over to DMV, I had to go pay taxes on it, get a new title, get new registration, all those particular fees. All that cost me $950, and that was just on day one. Now the big chunk of change to own any vehicle and have it out on the road is insurance. Now like I said before, insurance will vary greatly depending on your area. For me, it cost me $620 every year. So for me, that cost me $3,100 over the first 5 years. But with this last year, because of COVID-19 and all that, I got a $45 credit. So it only cost me $3,055 for the first 5 years. Thank you, Allstate. Now, when I originally purchased this vehicle, it had 40,000 miles on it. I put about 21,000 miles on it in the first 5 years. First 3 years, I put a lot of miles on the car. Not a lot, 15,000, so 5,000 every year. But this past year, with COVID and all that, I haven't really gotten the car out much. So it's only been 21,000 over the first 5 years. So with that, obviously comes with the cost of putting premium fuel in this. I only put 93 octane in this car. Depending on where you live, maybe you only have 91, but I put 93 octane in this. Now over that time frame with 21,000 miles, I average about 29 mpg. In the beginning it was a little bit more, it was closer to 20, but then this past year after I put the cam in it, obviously I like to hear the cam a lot, so my fuel economy has suffered because of that. So in the past year it's only been like 17 mpg, but again, only put 2,000, 2,500 miles on the car this year, so it hasn't really been all that much. And then of course gas prices have fluctuated a lot over 5 years, but generally they've been around that $3 mark per gallon here in New Jersey. So gas has cost me $2,950 over the first 5 years. Now in New Jersey, for any used vehicle, you need to renew your registration every year. When I initially went for the tax, titles, and fees, registration was included with that $950, but I had to pay registration for the next 4 years. Here in New Jersey, it's like $46.50. I'm just going to round that to $50. So $50 times 4, that's $200 just in registration. So the cost just to own and operate this vehicle for the first 5 years and 21,000 miles, it's been $7,155. Now, of course, with any vehicle, you do need to maintain it. So let's go over those maintenance costs. Now, as far as oil changes go, I've done 6 oil changes. When I first got the car, I did an oil change, and then I did an oil change every fall thereafter. So a total of 6 oil changes. I do my own oil changes. I get my own oil and filter. It's about $50 every oil change. So the oil changes have cost me $300. Now, after 2 years, I ended up getting a nail in one of my rear tires. So I needed to get new rear tires instead of just getting one, because they were kind of like near the end of their life. I got 2 rear tires. I went with Hankook Ventus V12s, and 2 of those for the rear cost me $450. Now, if you own a C5 or if you're looking at getting one, you will notice that down here in the door pull here, there's this door plug. Very typical for your C5s for that door plug to be missing. They just break easily, they pop out, all that good stuff. They're $6 a piece. I had to replace both, so $12 for door plugs. My air filter up front is a Blackwing air filter, so I just needed to buy the cleaning kit in order to clean and then oil that, so that cleaning kit cost $21. Now recently I just changed the diff fluid in this. Again, I did it myself. So 2 quarts of gear oil and a little hand pump in order to put it up into the diff. It was $35 for that. Now my brakes weren't in bad shape. They probably could have went like another year, but I figured I would just change them this year since I had the extra time in the spring. So I went with a brake motive set. That brake motive set cost me $160 for all 4 rotors 4 sets of pads, which is a really good deal. Did the labor again myself, so it's just $160 to change the brakes all the way around. Now, when I bought the car, there was a crack in the rear right quarter panel. Maybe when you buy a car, you don't have to worry about that. But if you do need to buy a quarter panel, there is a company in Bristol, PA. They're also on eBay. But they're basically a Corvette salvage yard, and they sell, obviously, used Corvette parts. So I picked up that quarter panel for $90. Now, as part of preventative maintenance, these cars are known to burn through oil. There's a lot of blow-by in the PCV system that goes into the air intake and just gums up your air intake with oil. So it's very common for people to put on an oil catch can. So I put on an Elite Engineering oil catch can that cost me $160. Now, one common issue with the C5 Corvette and also C6 Corvette is the harmonic balancer. Now, mine was in good shape. I did not have to replace it, but I did replace the cam in this. So when I did the cam replacement, it was pretty advisable to replace that balancer because it's only a matter of time before it goes. I went with the Summit C2501 balancer. That balancer cost me $200. I replaced the front main seal, the timing covered gasket, and again, I did the labor myself, so it was only $225. Now, also with that cam replacement, I had to remove all the coolant, so I replaced all the coolant for $50. Now, one thing I would recommend if you do have an open filter, whether you did the zip tie mod or you have an open filter like the Blackwing, is to get the hood seal, and that hood seal costs $16. So all those maintenance items cost me just about $1,520. Now, one last thing I'm going to add into this is the cost of depreciation. Now, obviously, with like 99% of the cars out there, you're going to have some type of depreciation. And actually, for Corvettes, this past year has been really good with values. So their values have actually gone up, which is good. But they've only gone up this year. They didn't go up over the last 5 years. So I picked this car up for $15,500, and I looked on Kelley Blue Book just yesterday, and in my area for a private sale, this car, as it sits, even if it was bone stock, it would be $15,000. So I only lost $500 in depreciation. So my total cost in on this vehicle, not including any of the mods, I will get into another video on how much this car's cost me just to mod, which is another surprising number. But again, just to own, operate, and have this vehicle on the road, it's cost me $9,175. Now, in my opinion, that is a bargain. Because obviously with any vehicle, you're gonna have to pay taxes, title, registration, insurance, gas, oil changes, all the typical maintenance items that you're gonna come across. So I didn't have any major maintenance things that I needed to cover. Yeah, I did the balancer, but I didn't really need to. It is highly recommended though, if your balancer hasn't been changed, to go ahead and change that. Like I said, it will eventually fail, and when it fails, it could be really bad. It could cost you a lot more money. So get it done, get it out of the way, and you'll save money in the end. So personally, again, for me, and when I bought this car with, like I said, 40,000 miles in great mechanical condition. Like I said, there was a crack in the quarter panel, but obviously a minor issue. Didn't cost much to do that with a $90 quarter panel. So if you compare that ownership cost with other sports cars, I mean, this car is a bargain to own. I am telling you, if you're in the market for a C5, do not be scared of how much this thing will cost you. Obviously, you need to do your homework ahead of time. You need to make sure you're picking up a good car. Or if you know you're picking up a car that needs work, you need to, obviously factor that into the buying price. But these cars are not that expensive to own. They're not that expensive to maintain if you're willing to do it yourself. If you're not mechanically inclined, don't worry. I'm not. I'm definitely not mechanically inclined. This is the first car I ever worked on. I learned everything either on YouTube or the Corvette forums or asking a friend. So if you're in the market for a C5 Corvette, I'm going to tell you to go out there, don't hesitate, get the car that you want, and obviously, like I said, do your homework ahead of time, and you will not regret your purchase. You will be happy for years to come. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, guys, please subscribe. Thank you.